back to my channel. Welcome to those of you guys who are new here. If you are new, my name is Kayla. So today's video is going to be a storytime movie. This is my first time ever filming a storytime movie, but I'm just gonna start off by saying this video is gonna be long as hell. So yeah, I would definitely grab a snack, grab a drink, whatever. I'm going to be including photos and videos and screenshots and such throughout the video, just so you guys can have like a visual representation of what I'm talking about. And yeah, this video is just gonna be a mess. So we're just gonna get straight into it. Okay, so let's get started. So last year, May of 2019, I went to Rolling Loud. They have it every May in Miami. It's like the biggest one, and I went with this group of people that I actually met on Reddit. I know you guys are probably just gonna be like, what the fuck, like you met a bunch of people on Reddit? And it's like, yes, I be on Reddit. I love Reddit. And back in 2018, I was okay, so like if you're a subscriber to my channel, you already know I really don't have friends like that. So back in 2018, I was hella trying to get my best friend to go, but she couldn't for whatever reason. It is pretty expensive, so finding like a group of people who would be willing to pay upwards of $1,000 to go on a 3-day festival trip is pretty hard. So I was just kind of like, well, damn, I guess I'm just not gonna go. And then I was like, you know what, whatever, I'm gonna post on Reddit. I was a mess, you guys. I definitely do not recommend doing this. But I had posted saying like, is anybody going to Orlando, Miami? This girl, we'll call her Robin. So Robin responds and she's like, hey, like, what's your snap? Like, I created a bunch of group chats for a bunch of people who are going. You should join. And I was like, oh, for sure. And so I joined the group chat and it was hella lit. It was so much fun. We were all talking for like months leading, because this was like way before the actual festival. So I joined the group chat. There was actually a bunch of like group chats that ended up like coming, like offset group chats from that initial group chat that I joined. So I ended up being like 4 or 5 different group chats with more and more people who kept finding out about the chats, and then they wanted to join the chats. And so it ended up being like this huge ass group with like 40 of us who had been talking for like months. So I was getting super excited, like because at this point it's like, I feel like these are my friends and like people that I know, you know, and like I just feel a connection because we've been talking for hella long. So I was super excited for the festival. You guys are probably listening to this and you're probably like, so I ended up actually finding because I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have an Airbnb or hotel booked because, like I said, I didn't have anyone to go with at the time prior to joining the group chats. So I didn't really feel comfortable getting an Airbnb or hotel by myself. So of course my dumb ass decided I was comfortable getting an Airbnb with the strangers from the Reddit group chat from Reddit. So I did not recommend this, you guys, but I met me and two of the girls from the group chat decided that we were gonna get an Airbnb together. This is like all like pre the event that happened last year, so this all took place in 2018. I'm just giving you guys kind of like a backstory, so as to like how I met these people and all of that. Well, that was fun. It was lit. I'll include some videos and pictures for you guys. Wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. It was my first festival, so I didn't have any experience or knowledge of what a festival actually was. So the first time that I went to Rolling Loud in 2018 with this group ended up being a group of like, I don't know, maybe like 10 of us, probably more. But a lot of us ended up getting like, a lot of the rest of the group ended up getting lost, or like we only saw them in passing, but like the core group of people that I like saw multiple times and like clicked up with was probably like 8 to 10 people. And then everybody else kind of had like subgroups or whatever. So that was fun. That was 2018. Okay, so me and Robin, the initial person who reached out to me and invited me to the group, we ended up being like really close for like a minute, probably less than a year, honestly. Like the majority of 2018 we were cool after Rolling Loud, and like we would talk all the time. Even though she lived in Canada, she would tell me all her business, and like she would confide in me. We would talk on the phone for hours. Like we were really cool. And then we kind of had like a falling out that I don't really want to get into because I just feel like that was more personal, and I'm not going to air out any of her business or go into what happened there. But we just ended up having kind of like a falling out, and it was something that, you know, I just felt that she did that was fucked up, and I was just like, you know what, I'm cool. I feel like this relationship is very one-sided. I feel like I'm always there for you type of thing, you know. Okay, so fast forward to the events. So now that you guys have all of that backstory, you know about the situation with Robin, you know about how we met, rolling on 2018, now we're gonna get into the good stuff. So now we're in 2019. This is the Rolling Loud where all of the shit happened. So of course, Robin wasn't included in this group because we weren't cool anymore. So it was me and a lot of the same people that I already was familiar with from the group chats. It was me and 5 other people. I'm not gonna name all 5 of them because the majority of them are not relevant to the story. There's only 2 of them that actually are. So we're gonna name one of them Sarah, and then the other one's gonna be named Katie. Sarah and Katie. So Sarah and Katie, I was actually the closest to. The other 3 people who were on the trip, or who I went with last year, I was not close to, although I knew 2 out of the 3 other people. There was one person who, that was my first time meeting them when we all got to the Airbnb. So Sarah and Katie, I have been talking to, like, they were a part of the original group chat from Reddit. So we had known each other since early 2018, and then I hung out with them during the first Rolling Loud, so we knew each other really well. We talked all throughout the year, even though all of us lived in different places and different countries. We talked, and I confided in them, they confided in me. So it's very important to stress that I considered Sarah and Katie friends. I just want to make it clear, I don't really have any issues with any of the people that I'm talking about now. I've had time to process my feelings, and, you know, I don't feel the need to like be angry anymore. So I just want to make that clear. But at the time I was pissed. So we get to the Airbnb, everything's totally fine. I'm feeling fine. The 3 extra people other than Sarah and Katie, those 3 were friends of Sarah and Katie. So yeah, I just came by my lonesome, and then everybody kind of came with someone else. So yeah, but at the time I didn't think anything of it. Like the 3 other people were chill at the time, and it was just fine. The first day rolls around and I started to kind of feel a little left out. And me being the type of person that I am, like I am pretty vocal and like I'm not very shy, but in certain social situations if I start to feel like I'm with a group of people but I feel left out, I do kind of like retreat and start to get quiet and just start to feel a little like a burden. And so I won't like verbalize my feelings unless, you know, I feel like it's a safe space for me to do so. And at that time I didn't really feel comfortable expressing that because even though I was cool with Sarah and Katie, I didn't know the other 3 people like that. So I just felt like me expressing the fact that I felt really left out and awkward and like you know, just that random person there because everybody had came with someone else. I didn't feel comfortable expressing that because the other 3 people there were not my friends. I wasn't really that comfortable being vulnerable like that around them. So I kind of just kept my feelings to myself. So the 5 of them all had pretty similar like ideas for like who they wanted to see for each set. So for those of you who are not familiar with the way a festival works, is usually they have several different stages, and then throughout the day they have different like sets with different artists at each stage. So there's multiple artists playing at the same time, especially with Rolling Loud. So for example, I would want to see YG, and then they would all be like, oh, we want to see Tyler the Creator, like someone random. And I would just be like, he wasn't there that year, but that's just an example. And I was just like, I don't fucking want to see him. I want to see YG, you know? So they would be like, oh, you can go by yourself and we're gonna go here. And I would always just be like, I didn't come all the way out here to Miami to like, and I had spent hella money on this trip, you guys. I spent at least like upwards of $1,300 in total on this trip by myself out of my pocket. So they all had spent significantly less. I had spent a lot of money, so I was looking forward to a fun group experience like the first Rolling Loud that I went to with the group. So I was just kind of like, why would I want to go by myself while you guys all go to a different set? Keep in mind, like, the connection and the cell phone reception was horrible. Like, most of the time I wouldn't have a signal. So once you get split up, it's like you're really split up unless you agree on like a meeting area. And even then, like, you guys have to keep in mind there was at least like 50,000 people in attendance. So even if you agree on a meeting area, it's like people might be drinking, they might be like tripping out, you know, like the crowds, like it's dark, you know, like there's just so many other variables that you could be waiting there forever, and like the timing may not be right, whatever. So I really wasn't trying to split up from the group. I wanted to stay together. I just kind of felt like once we split up, it was gonna be really hard to like get back in contact with each other because of all the things I just listed. So I ended up actually sitting through sets and going with them to sets that I really didn't want to go to. And then I started to just kind of feel like, what the hell? Like, I'm with them and I already feel lonely. I already feel like I'm with a group of people and I'm alone. So why am I going with these people to these sets to see artists that I don't want to see after I spent all this money? I want to see the artists that I paid to come and see, you know? I don't want to spend my time miserable with a group of people who I feel like are not including me in things and in their conversations and just ghosting behind them, you know? So, and when I say I felt alone, it would be stuff like we would be walking through the crowd trying to keep up with each other, and they all would be holding hands while they're walking, and they'd all be like walking in a line, like holding hands like that, and no one would grab my hand. So I would be like kind of like jogging to keep up with them because they would be walking so fast to like hurry and go to the next set. And so I would just be like awkwardly like trailing behind. And after a while, I just told them, I was like, I'm actually gonna go to the other set. And nobody really gave a fuck. They all were just like, okay, bye. And so that's when I really was just like, I'm not about to sit here in a group feeling alone. Like, I might as well be alone. I told them I'm leaving and nobody cared. So I started going to the people that I wanted to see. Day 2, after deciding I really didn't want to trail behind them anymore, I ended up going off by myself and wearing festival clothes, which is usually really short shorts and like tube tops or tank tops or crop tops, whatever, because Miami's hot as hell. So, you know, everybody's wearing like barely any clothes. And I'm alone in the middle of the night. And I was just like, you know what? This sucks. Like, this is not the experience that I thought I was gonna have. But I'm all the way out here, whatever. The events that I'm about to tell you guys, this occurred day 2. So this occurred Saturday, since the festival started on a Friday. I was alone. They were off doing whatever they were doing. I think it was like the last act or 2 was playing and it was no one that I wanted to see. So I decided I was gonna leave. I left, and near the stadium is like, it's like a parking lot, and it has like a bunch of different stores and like little food spots in a circle. So there was like, I want to say there was a Walmart, there was like a gym, I think. Was there a gym? Yeah, I think there was a gym, there was a Walmart, there was like a little drive-through, and then there was like a few other shops or whatever. So I'm just walking around and I'm in that area. Since I had left before the last act, I left on purpose because I was hoping that it would be easier to catch a Lyft or an Uber. And since it would have been hell trying to like leave after the last act, especially alone, I just decided I was gonna leave a little earlier since the last performer wasn't anyone I wanted to see, and I thought it would be easier to catch a lift and it would be cheaper. So I'm in that area in the shopping center, whatever, and I'm just by myself waiting for a driver to accept my request for a ride, whatever. And out of nowhere, I just hear a bunch of people screaming, like really screaming. And you know the difference between like an excited scream and like a scared scream. I heard people screaming for their lives, like actually screaming like they were like deathly afraid of something. And I just saw a bunch of girls like running like full speed from the opposite direction. So like I'm sitting here in the parking lot waiting for the driver, and out of nowhere everybody's running, you know, away, whatever. So I didn't ask any questions, I didn't try to stop anybody, I didn't go looking around, I just started running too, because what the hell, it was like a lot of people all running, and you could tell that they were all like, they weren't together, like they were a bunch of random people all running, screaming for their lives. I'm like, what the fuck? So I started getting scared, and I'm starting to like tear up because I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you guys running? There's this Walmart, and there was like this garage, and it had a bunch of the shopping carts lined up in it. So I see a bunch of people bolt in the garage, and it's like the one where you pull it down. So they're all pushing it down, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? So I was like, wait. I'm laughing, you guys, but this is not funny. It wasn't funny at all. Like, keep in mind, at the time I was bawling my eyes out. But because this was a while ago, I've had plenty of time to like think about the situation and like whatever. And so I'm laughing, but this situation is not funny at all. So there's a bunch of people in the garage, and they're pulling the shit down, like obviously trying to like hide from whatever they're running from. So I'm like, wait, and I'm like crying, and I'm like, please, please. And they're like, hurry up, hurry up. And so I'm like, okay. And keep in mind, I have no idea what they're running from, who they're running from, what's going on, nothing. Like, all I know is I'm just going with the crowd. I don't have time to be asking questions, trying to stop somebody. I don't care. Like, wherever y'all are running from, I'm running too. We can find out later. So I duck and I get under the garage, and they hurry up and they pull it down. I kid you not, you guys. Like, I swear on everything, I'm not lying. I kid you not. Right after we push that thing down, all we hear is like a bunch of, and I'm like, is this a joke? Like, what is going on? So everybody's like jumping over the shopping carts, like dead ass, like jumping. And so I'm scared. And so I start like climbing, but like they were just all moving so fast. Everybody was like falling on top of each other and like trampling each other. I like ended up hitting the fuck out of my thigh, and I'll insert a picture of how big the bruise was, you guys, because it was huge. It was literally like a bruise this big. And I was so scared. And it's like, you know, when you're nervous and like you feel rushed, and so your movements are just not that coordinated. So at the time I was just trying so hard, and I was like moving so jittery and like out of adrenaline that like I just was like so clumsy. I'm trying to move, and I'm trying to jump over the carts and like whatever. I don't know what's going on, if someone's trying to like lift the garage up or like what, but I just hear what sounds like I've heard before. I used to run track, and they would fire off at the start of the race or whatever. So I've heard it. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. All these people are in the parking lot screaming and running and crying, and then we're all hiding in a garage. I still don't know why. And then I hear something that sounds like, and then of course everybody's crying their eyes out. Mind you, none of these people know each other. It was very clear that none of us knew each other. Nobody was talking. We all were screaming and crying. So finally we get to the inside of like, I can't remember. Like, adrenaline is a crazy thing. Like, me right now trying to tell the story, this is the first time I've told the story in its entirety in like a really long time. So it's just not something that I talk about very often. But trying to like look back and tell the story now, I'm sure there's a couple details that I probably got wrong in terms of like places and shit, but we ended up inside of some place. And we're all crying our eyes out, and we're like, please, like, can you lock the doors? Like, can we stay in here? And so the workers are all kind of like shaken up, and they're like, y'all gotta go. We don't want any of this in here. Whatever's going on, we're trying to keep ourselves safe. Like, if you guys, oh, it was a gym. It was a gym. And so they're all just like, if you don't have a membership, like, you need to go. At first, I think they were letting us like stand around for a little bit, but once things started to get a little more like, what's the right word? Just the longer we were there, the more they were just like, no, y'all gotta go. And so we're all crying, and we're like, please just let us stay in here. Like, there's somebody out there, like, we don't know what's going on. And they all were just like, if you don't have a membership, like, you guys need to go. So I'm freaked out because I still don't know what's going on, and I'm pretty sure I heard. I know I'm not crazy. I know all the other people I'm with, I know they heard it too, because they were crying too. So I'm like, I feel like I'm being, made to look crazy and made to feel crazy. So we're all standing outside together crying. Nobody's really talking, because like, what can you say? Like, what can you say to each other? Honestly, like, damn, that was crazy. Like, what is there to say? So out of nowhere, like, I see these military trucks, they're like the olive green ones, rolling around in the freaking parking lot. And so I'm really freaked out, because I'm just like, okay, I know I'm not going crazy. These are all these people who was running and crying and screaming. We were hiding in under shopping carts, and then now you got military grade trucks out. Like, what is going on? And so these cops with like full on like long come up to us, and they're like, what's the problem? And we're like telling them what happened, and we're all just like, like hyperventilating and like freaking out. And the cops are just looking at us, and they're like, that never happened. And we're all just like, excuse me? Like, no, like, we know what we heard, and we know what we heard. And they're just like, no, we don't want any pandemonium. I'll never forget. That's the word that they used. We don't want a pandemonium being caused, and there's nothing to worry about. Like, we have people looking out, and like, and so they're being really evasive, and they're not trying to like tell us what exactly happened. So I'm just like freaked out, because now I feel like I'm going crazy, because I know what I just experienced. I wasn't alone in that experience. So the cops just don't want a story getting out, because this is a really big festival. It brings in a lot of money, and that would be a horrible headline. Keep in mind, last year at Rolling Loud, there was a lot of other situations that happened. So I feel like for them, they were just trying really hard to like keep the situation contained and to like not have it get out, and they didn't want us all freaking out and like tweeting about it or whatever, going to social media. So they just kept telling us like, we don't want a pandemonium being caused. So yeah, so as they're talking to us, I'm just starting to get more and more freaked out, and I'm starting to feel like I'm being made to feel crazy. And I was already very emotional. I had never felt so alone in my entire life. Like, I had no friends with me. Everybody was together as a group. I was alone going through this experience, still didn't really have any answers. This was an experience that I had with people that I did not know. And so we're all just looking at each other like, what the hell is going on? After the situation happened, there was no news headlines about it. I didn't hear anything about it, see anything about it. It was like it never happened, literally. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, that just goes to show in situations, I just feel like at events like that, they don't want to get out, because the festival brings in so much money that why would they want a situation like that to be publicized, especially when there were other situations that were going on. It was a very dark weekend in Miami last year during Rolling Loud. There were a lot of attacks and like altercations, and just like there was like a scare during Cardi B's set. Like, there was just so many things going on. I just did not feel safe at all. And I debated just completely not going to the last day, which was Sunday. But then I kept telling myself, I'm like, girl, like, you just spent all this money coming all the way out here. Like, maybe that wasn't a shooting, last night. Maybe that was something else. You don't know why those people were running, whatever. But in my mind, I know what I experienced, and there was definitely something crazy that happened. Don't know what, but whatever. So I talked myself into going the last day, and I actually linked up with a few guys that I knew from the original group chat and who I had been talking to and like hung out with before, so I felt comfortable with them and I had a really good time with them. They made me feel included and it was really good. I'm glad that I didn't go alone. I told them the whole situation, so they were really understanding, and they didn't go to the front of the mosh pit like they may have done if I wasn't with them. And I appreciated that, because yeah, I remember day one when I went with my group that I came with. I was telling them like, oh, I don't really want to go to the front, and they were just like, yeah, we do. And so they went anyways, and I was just like, well, damn, no. Again, I just was afraid of going alone and being alone in the crowd, so I went with them, even though I felt very uncomfortable and I felt very like anxious. And when you go to the front of the set, it's pretty much understood that you're okay with mosh pits. Like, that's where all the mosh pits happen. Mosh pits don't happen all the way in the back or even in the middle usually. It's usually in the front. That's where all the like hardcore like festival goers go to. They go to the front. So on Sunday, the last day, I was super grateful for the guys not being understanding of the fact that after Saturday's events, I really didn't feel comfortable being that far up. And so we were kind of towards the back, but we still had fun and they just made me feel comfortable. So lastly, here's another short story time. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping around. So after the whole parking lot incident, I was scared. I was freaked the hell out. Finally got a driver, but there was so much traffic. So I was just waiting for him to get to me. It said he was like 5 minutes away, but there was just so much traffic that I knew it would probably be like another 20-30 minutes. So I was just in that parking lot still. Everybody else had for the most part left, so it was just really me and maybe a few stragglers in that particular area. So this guy pulls up, he's just like, oh, like, where are you trying to go? And I don't know why my dumbass told him. I think at the time I was just so tired and I wanted to go back to the Airbnb so badly. So I was like, oh, like, can you take me to blah, blah, blah? And he was like, yeah, definitely. And he was like super eager to drive me. And he was like, oh, I'll just charge you $25, which is pretty cheap because the lifts at that time were going for like $40, $50. As the night was going, it would probably get up to like $120, $150. Yeah. So that was pretty cheap. And I don't know why, like, I was about to actually get inside that man's car and just trust this strange man who pulled up asking me if I needed a ride to take me to where I need to go. It's like, if you've ever been to a festival, you know how they usually have those taxis that are all lined up outside the stadium and they're just waiting for people who need a ride, and they'll be like, oh, $30 to get to blah, blah, blah. He was pretty much doing that, but he wasn't a taxi. It was just someone in their car. And so I don't know why I seriously was about to get in this man's car. But then I was like, I just had this gut feeling telling me, do not get in that car. Do not get in the car. I listened to my gut feeling and I actually was like, you know what? My driver's almost here. That's okay. Like, thank you though. Because there was just something niggling at me that was like, do not get in that car. Do not get in the car. And then once I finally decided I wasn't going to get in the car, I noticed there was no Lyft sticker, there was no Uber symbol, nothing identifying him as a Lyft or Uber driver, which all of the drivers have. And he told me he drove for a Lyft and Uber. So I was just like, yeah, don't get in that car. And so then all of a sudden he's like, oh, okay, $20. I'll take you for $20. And I'm like, I'm okay, really. Like, my driver's almost here. It's cool. He's like, oh, 15. And that's when I really was just like, I'm more than good. Good night. Like, bye. Now you're freaking me out. And so he started to like really haggle and try to like get me in his car. And that's when I really was just like, what the hell? Like, no. And then he drove off all angry and I was like, yeah, what is wrong with you? So, my driver finally gets there. He's super cool. I remember him just being like really nice, and I was just like, oh my god, this is like a night that's like never ending, like one thing after another. I just want to get to the damn Airbnb. Mind you, all of this is happening, I don't even think it was like 1 a.m. yet. So all of this happened in the span of like an hour or something crazy. because the Airbnb wasn't even that far from the stadium, so it didn't take that long to get back to the Airbnb. It was just a mess. Like, this whole situation probably transpired within like an hour and a half at most. So just from that alone, I was like, I'm just ready to get to the Airbnb. I'm ready to be done with this situation. So the only person who reached out to me was throughout that whole night that I was alone was Sarah. What did I name the other girl? Karen? Sarah and Katie. Katie didn't reach out to me. Sarah was the only person out of the other four people who reached out to me, and she was like, hey, like, where are you? Have you left yet? And I was like, yeah, I'm about to go back to the Airbnb right now. I'm in a Lyft. And she's like, okay, let me know when you get home or get to the Airbnb. And I was like, for sure. She's the only person who inquired about my whereabouts or checked in with me to see if I was safe. Like, nobody else reached out to me. So I finally get to the Airbnb, and Katie, everybody gets home. Everybody gets to the Airbnb after me. I was the first one there, surprisingly, because I felt like I had such a long night that I must have been gone for like forever, but it really wasn't. So I get to the Airbnb, I'm fucking tired. I shower, I do my whole routine, I'm in bed chilling, and I was sharing the room with Katie. So keep in mind, Sarah and Katie were the two that I was friends with. So Katie comes into the room and she's just like, how was your night? I told her, I was like, to be honest, I felt really alone. You know, it kind of sucks. I've just been feeling alone this whole trip. You know, I kind of feel left out. When I tell you guys, Katie did not respond to anything that I said. I didn't tell her like the whole entire story. I just gave her like a brief, short story being like, yeah, tonight was so scary. Like, there was this thing that happened, that situation. And then I ended off with that by telling her how I felt alone and how I felt left out. And Katie did not say anything back to me. When I say she didn't respond to anything that I said, I mean, she literally just walked away. And I was just like, okay. Like, I thought I was talking, but okay. I don't know if she just felt like attacked because I called them out for being, you know, for excluding me, or I don't know. But when I said it, I didn't say it in like a combative or like, you know, accusatory way. Like, I just told her, like, to be honest, like, after tonight, like, that's just how I've been feeling. You know, tonight has been crazy. It was just very traumatic for me. And she was just like, and she just walked away. And I was like, okay, I'm cool. I was like, I'm so cool off of this. We're never gonna be friends. We're never gonna talk again. Because ain't no way any of my friends would ever sit there in my face and tell me that they felt left out and that they just had a traumatic experience and they felt all alone and they had no one there with them, and I just will walk away from the conversation. Like, there's no way I would ever do that. After that, shit got weird. Katie never came back to the room. Like, me and Katie were supposed to be sharing the room. She started sleeping on the couch. And I felt like really offended by that. And I was just like, why would she be sleeping on the couch? Like, I never did anything to her. You know, a good friend would have been like, damn, like, I'm so sorry you had a traumatic night and you were all alone. Like, I had no idea that, you know, we had been making you feel that way. Like, we have one more day left of the festival. Like, give us another chance and like, we'll try and turn it around. Like, I know you came all the way out here, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what a real friend would do. So the fact that she didn't respond to me and then she just went and slept on the couch to avoid me was just like, wow, like, okay. And so the other three people who were there, like, I wasn't friends with them. They were Katie and Sarah's guests, so they didn't talk to me. They didn't care, you know? And so it really was just, Sarah was the only one who would check in on me. But even then, she was still clicked up with them. But she would check in on me every now and then and try to make conversation. But I was just so fed up with the whole situation that even with her, I was being very distant because I'm just like, at the end of the day, yeah, you checked in on me. That's the bare minimum that a friend should do. You still have been a part of the clique, you know? So yeah. So Katie had told me that she was going to drop me off at the airport. And I felt like that was the least that she could do, was still drop me off at the airport. So she had told me to wake her up, because I had a really early flight. It's time for me to go to the airport, and she was like, oh, I'm really tired, like, what about if I just pay for your lift there? I'll give you cash, or I'll Venmo you. Me being me, like, if we were on good terms, I would have been like, you know what, don't worry about it, girl, it's fine. It is like 2 a.m. It's fine, whatever. Don't worry about it. I want to say, actually, no, I think it was like 4 a.m. It was like sometime in the middle of the night. Me being me, the type of friend that I am, I never would have accepted the money if we were still on good terms. But because of the events that took place throughout the whole trip, I was just like, fuck that. Like, yeah, okay, that would be great if you could pay me for my ride. Because I was just like, that's the least you can do. Like, you've been a horrible friend, and I want nothing to do with you after this trip. So yeah, pay for my lift. So she gave me like $25, whatever, and I left, and I didn't say anything to anybody else. Obviously, it was super early. It was like the middle of the night, so I'm not gonna wake anybody up. Actually, no, like if we were on good terms, I would have woken people up, because I would have wanted my friends to wake me up if they were gonna leave. But yeah, so I didn't wake anybody up. I just left, and never seen them ever in life. After that, nobody reached out to me. So 2 of the 3 other people unfollowed me randomly, like immediately after that, and I was just like, okay, so I blocked them. I'm pretty sure they're blocked. And then surprisingly, one of Sarah's friends, the girl that Sarah came with, actually slid in my DMs. Basically, a photo was posted on one of their accounts, and it was a group photo that I had asked someone to take of all of us. And whoever posted it, because I can't remember which one of them posted it, whoever posted it tagged everybody but me in the photo, and then put their caption as like, what a great time with like the best of people, or something like that, basically. And everybody was tagged but me. So after I saw that, I was just like, yeah, I'm cool. Like, y'all are so disgusting. Like, at this point, I feel like bullied because I've done nothing to anybody. I can't remember which one of them posted the photo. I'm pretty sure it was Sarah's friend, or it was Katie. I can't remember, but one of them did. But anyway, Sarah's friend actually DM'd me and apologized about the photo, and was just like, I just wasn't sure, if that would bother you, but like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it in that type of way, we didn't mean that type of way, whatever. And I just told her, I was like, you know what, thank you for reaching out to me. I appreciate the apology, because I definitely felt like that was very rude. And yeah, like, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm disappointed that, the people that I considered friends haven't reached out to me, and, you're reaching out to me, and that was our first time meeting. But that means a lot to me, and, I felt very left out, and I felt very ostracized. So the fact that at least you're acknowledging that you can see some of that, that validates my feelings, basically. Listen, I didn't tell her all of that, but that was basically my response in a nutshell. Like, that was the sentiment that I expressed to her. And she was just like, you know what, now that you're mentioning it, like, I definitely can see how you were excluded, and I'm really sorry. And ever since then, me and Sarah's friend have been cool. She likes my photos, I like hers sometimes, like, there's no beef. But as far as Sarah and Katie, we have never spoken ever since then. And the other 2 people are blocked. So yeah. I should also include, so I had reached out to Rolling Loud several times, emailing them, telling them how I felt so unsafe, how they took no security precautions, how they weren't patting everybody down, and all of that, because there were several like scares throughout the festival. And I asked them for my money back, and they never responded to me. They had no phone number, nothing. Like, all you could do is just keep emailing them. So I kept emailing them. I must have emailed them like 5 or 6 times, and they never responded to me. I never got my money back. I tried to dispute it with my credit card or my debit card, whatever, and they were just like, oh, we can't, you have to take it up with them first. We're not authorized to just give you a refund for no reason, you know? Like, you have to reach out to the merchant. So they never got back to me. And after that, I was just like, I never want to go to Rolling Loud again. And even the last day that we were there, I didn't get my bag checked. They didn't check my bag. They didn't search me. They're supposed to, but they didn't. I just went through a detector and that was it. And I'm like, how is this sufficient? Like, there have been several, you know, scares, and there's been several violent things that have happened this whole weekend because of Rolling Loud, at Rolling Loud, and you guys are still not checking everybody. So because of that, I was just like, yeah, I'm cool. And so I had tried to get my money back and was never able to get it back. So yeah, just thought I should include that. But yeah, that's it for today, you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this story. If you want to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodles.